Hello, I'm taking on a challenge to beat every playable Nintendo published game. Welcome to the next episode. The next game is Game & Watch Fire. Wait a second, Game & Watch Fire? Didn't we already go over this one? You see, the 7th game in the Game & Watch widescreen series was a remake of Game & Watch Fire from the Silver series. As I've touched on before, I plan on playing remasters and remakes so long as they make any sort of change to the visuals or gameplay. I'll go into more details later, but this one definitely has enough differences that I consider it a separate release. I may sometimes combine various releases of the same game into a single video, but I held back on doing it for this one since I think it is interesting to watch the Game & Watch games step by step as they progress and make new series. That being said, I don't want to repeat myself too much, so don't expect a long video out of this one. Let's start with what is actually the same. I've gone over this stuff in my previous video on Game & Watch Fire, so I'm gonna be brief. In this one, you play as two firemen who are bouncing people that are escaping a burning building into an ambulance. This probably isn't the safest way to do this, as it is evident by the fate of the unfortunate ones that you failed to catch in time. So, what's actually different in this one? The most obvious change is the visual improvements. The change from the Silver series to the widescreen series has brought a new layer of color to the game, and they've added some new decorations as well. I particularly like the way the flames look in this one. Another change that came along with being part of the widescreen series is that you can now earn back lives lost once you get enough points. That means my goal this time around is to reach 200 points in each game mode, rather than the 100 I went for last time. The final change is a little more subtle, but it's my personal favorite of them all. In the original, you only gained a point once you bounced a person all the way to the ambulance. This made it move really slow, especially near the beginning. In this one, they made it so that you get a point every time you bounce a person into the air. If you remember, this was a change I even wanted them to make when I first played the first one. This made the game move at a much better pace. As usual, I started with Game Mode A. I think since I was already familiar with this game, I found it to be pretty easy. I got to 200 points without losing a single life, and I made it all the way to 468 before finally dropping a third person and ending the run. Game Mode B wasn't too difficult either. Similar to the original, I'm not totally sure what's harder about this one. It probably just made things happen faster and was all around more difficult. Once again, I got to 200 on my first try, and I ended with a score of 287. With that, Game & Watch Fire was once again complete. On to the review. This one is definitely better than the Silver version. The change to the scoring helps a lot with the pacing, although I still found this one to be pretty slow. While it is an improvement over the original, I think I got bored of this one even quicker than most, although that's probably because it was essentially a game I had already played. In the end, I gave it a 5 out of 10. It's better than the Silver series version, but not enough to bump it up to a 6 out of 10. Thanks for watching the video. If you want to see more of these in the future, make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you won't miss out on the next one. Also leave a like if you enjoyed it, since it'll help the channel grow and motivate me to continue this series. I hope I will see you in the next step of my quest to beat every Nintendo game.